And we are live, YouTube, and now let's get Twitter going. Thank you very much. Let's put this down. Perfect over there. We're ready to go. Thank you. Thank you very much for waiting for me and get this rolling. Thank you. I do appreciate everyone. Welcome. My name is John Davies. Welcome to Crypto Talk here from a beautiful, beautiful sunny spring day here in London, England. And yes, just a reminder for everyone, for all the nonsense that you read on, and yes, I simulcast here, so pardon me, I'm using two cameras here. For all the nonsense you see online, of problems or whatever existing in London. I don't know what the motivation are of those people, but London, England is extremely safe. It's very comfortable. I encourage everyone, if you have international travelers, come to London where they welcome you. This is, it's a little bit embarrassing for me to note. All of our cities have problems. I don't have 1/10 of the problems that I do in London that I have in New York, LA, and certainly Chicago, without question, right? But maybe that's a little bit like some of the things that we need to learn today. Travel more. And I don't mean go to, those elite posh resorts on a vacation. Travel more. Move to a country for a month or two. Experience it. Get to know people. We're all remarkably similar, contrary to what pandering politicians like to think and create animosity, hate, and division. Leaders lead, and they do so by uniting people, not dividing, and not by spurring fear. So, where do we want to kick this off here? Obviously, there's a lot of events going on right now. Yesterday was a wild day in the equity markets. It was a day that, quite honest with you, I'm not comfortable with. I will take the victory without question. I will take the victory, but I have a lot of reservations about it. It absolutely is true. And as I said recently, in response to a tremendous commentary from the always tremendous Mark Getzko, the founder of Morgan Creek Digital Capital, I believe that. And Mark mentioned that a bear market is one that, I'm quoting right here now, pardon me, quote, a bear market is one that goes down on most days and goes up sharply on good news or perceived good news. A bull market is one that goes up most days and goes down sharply on bad news or perceived good news. As I've said recently, there is no good news right now. There's nothing. There's nothing to be positive about unless you're here in London and you can see this beautiful sunny sky every day. No, quite honestly, there's some very negative things going on. And as I suggested in response to Mark, those claiming victory are ignoring that the two largest economies in the world are now in a trade war. The one is clearly, unfortunately, spouting hate. And for that matter, we already have a Secretary of the Administration noting that the intent was to bring false comments on it, false suggestions, and goad them into a situation. That's not a good look. That's a really bad look. So the two largest economies now are trapped in a trade war that I really don't see any escape from. There's a lot of negative ideas going on, and that animosity is only going to increase. And let's be honest, if you don't see this as a manipulated event, and a lot of insider trading manipulated event or something like that, well, you got to look at these timelines and the call volumes and whatnot and see what was going on. And unfortunately, by the way, a lot of good people, knowing full well that they have to just make the tough decision last week, and even early Monday, close their portfolios and watch the market surge. That's just a gut reaction or gut, my opinion, just a gut opinion of it. It's very uncomfortable. It's horrible. There's nothing good. There's little positive of this. And everything should be sold or written into. Written into means write those deep in the money calls, or conversely, write some out of the money calls, buy some protective puts, and safeguard yourself against this. There are a lot of reasons why this is going to continue and cause major problems. And I want you to really dig into that. And if you consider why does this relate to crypto, it has enormous importance of it. And really, I look at two major events going on that no one really seems right now. Yesterday, from the Oval Office, it asked the Supreme Court for authority to dismiss the Federal Reserve. This is stunning. Per Bloomberg, from the Oval Office has asked the U.S. Supreme Court, I'm obviously reading part of me, to allow him to immediately fire top officials at two independent agencies. It's testing a 90-year Supreme Court ruling that lets Congress shield high-ranking officials from being fired from the president. This outcome could determine whether 47 has the power to dismiss the Federal Reserve Chair Powell, and obviously it will influence some of the decisions here. And that's a very important for those of us within the crypto sector. This really is astonishing period in time. So again, I want you to give thought to that. I want you to think of the things what will possibly happen, because we're waiting for this bell to sound on a possibly QE and the next sort of major easing, that where the money just keeps printing out, and that will have a huge influence on Bitcoin. Now, yesterday this market had the most ridiculous of response to it, and it is rather remarkable. Remember, the response to yesterday was that with tariffs being delayed 90 days, right? The decision on all other tying any tariffs, and we're still led to suggested this is just only an event which relates to China. So this delay is some 90 days, but China now is tariffed all heck, and we don't know what's going to happen with trade. I personally believe the trade is going to suffer a horrible situation right now, unless cooler heads prevail. But is going to be rather remarkable, right? And that how this is going to relate to quantitative easing remains to be seen. We were sitting yesterday testing. We were going to test those waters at 4,800 in the S&P. Obviously, if we drop down to 4,500, we might have had another change with the Fed on that. Not so easy anymore. Not so. If this opens up with that decision allowing to the Oval Office to dismiss the Fed, that could open up for that situation where someone that is more interested in directly following the line that this administration wishes. Very important, because at that stage, Bitcoin is definitely going to take off. That's my opinion on this. Obviously, running counter to this is the enormous move on gold. The flight to quality and inflationary. So you should be looking at that gold Bitcoin chart as well. Give some thought to that. I think of all of these assets very important ones to have in all different rates, and also whatever your personal choice is. I personally find that you need to have a collection what suits yours. No right or wrong, what suits your interest or tastes. And gold is obviously soaring, continued on the spot market today after yesterday's meteoric three-digit move. It's up another $40. Gold is telling you something right now. Things aren't good, right? And I go back to long before I started this little broadcast, the Crypto Talk, 5 years ago, or 4 years ago, plus, a little more than 4 years ago. I was telling people, read Barbara Tuchan's classic Guns of August, which details the lead up into the events that led to World War I. This is all happening right now, and this is just one other, and this might be a major chapter here. We have a horrible headbutting against the two world economic powers. It will not end well. So gold continues to make that move up. Now, most importantly, last Friday, we saw Bitcoin tend to decouple from NASDAQ. In the past years, it's been very easy to look at Bitcoin as sort of a proxy movement, or vice versa, however you want to call it, with Bitcoin. That was very good. Yes, Friday, we saw that decouple. But what I've been suggesting, as gold hit my $75,000 target that I posted on January 25th, with respects to numbers that I computed in December, this was again when Bitcoin was 106,500. I said it was going to pull back to 75,000. It was shockingly how accurate that was, and would since make the move up, and it did. Now, part of it yesterday, let's be honest, NASDAQ took a meteoric rise. So Bitcoin and the investment community went along for the ride. So it didn't really decouple in the advance. We'll take the win, but did it really mean something to us in the same light? Not quite. I'm more impressed necessarily with the movement on last Friday as opposed to yesterday. The proof now is whether or not, as this market retraces, and looking at this market, again, it was very buoyant, and after we've got our GDP, not GDP, our numbers came out here. We've got a market retracing again. NASDAQ looks like we're going to open up. Futures are indicating an opening of around off 450 points. So we're going to have a little bit of a haircut today after that manipulated blow short covering run yesterday that was just absolute nonsense. So we're going to watch how Bitcoin responds. The last hour, certainly if we look over 24 hours, it's been an extremely favorable event. Heck, the last 24 hours, Bitcoin's leading the charge here, up 6.1%. Now, if you look at that 10 group, remember those 10 altcoins that I suggested, Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum's been obviously thrown under the bus here right now. Sadly, Ethereum operates just as well as it at this market cap, or with a market cap twice as it is today as it does now, or for that matter half. And that's the kind of odd thing about Ethereum. So much is built upon it, but it will continue to operate well. And I'm very uncomfortable, particularly when we see World Liberty starting to sell Ethereum at this price. Very uncomfortable. However, yesterday, Bitcoin and Ethereum made good solid advances. And in light of those 10 altcoins that I suggest, it's still sitting at the bottom. That's the positive situation for me. That's very positive. I expect Bitcoin to lead the charge, in other words, going to lead, but thereafter, those altcoins are going to move in greater multiplier effect. They're going to expand much faster, accelerate. They're all extremely undervalued. Now, over 24 hours, with the exception of Tron, which is up 5.3%, Bitcoin's at the base of the table, up 6.3. Aave, great company, up 7.6. Remember, Aave is that 2 and 3 position for me in altcoins, a pyramid per se of Aave and Hedera, Dallas-based Hedera. Remember, invest in Texas. Aave's up 7.6. Sol's up 8.2. As I said, Ethereum made a good advance, 8.7. Link, and probably the most important element of the altcoin market, most important, without question, all roads lead through Link, is really dragging anchor here. It had a good day, 9.9%. I'm very uncomfortable with the situation with Link because its valuation isn't materializing. Link, if you're going to put a valuation on Link, or if you attempt to put a valuation on Link, I suspect I could, from an accounting perspective, suggest to you that no matter what number would come out, it's undervalued. Or for that matter, all roads of decentralized finance ostensibly go through Link. It's rather remarkable. Why isn't this moving up right now? Because there's no urgency. Remember, urgency. If there's no urgency, we're done. Fold your cards. The day's over. That's what's happening to the entire altcoin market because we've got the sticky, greedy little fingers of politicians. Now remember, politicians right now, including probably the politician you listening to this right now, support. The one you probably support right now is killing the crypto market. We need politicians to pull out. What made decentralized finance successful is, and will make it successful, it's not centralized. It's not one political party. It's not one country. It's everywhere, everything, right? Decentralized, not centralized. It's great the countries want to be, including ones that I'm obviously leaning and favorable to, want to be the, quote, crypto capital of the world. But no, crypto is everywhere. Decentralized finance. You get attached, and one country tries to attach its reins to it, it will hold it back, and that's what's happening right now. So Link having a good day yesterday, but at 12:33, up 9.9. This is grotesquely undervalued. Now I can only tell you on valuations and accuracy. This is a tremendous fundamental buy right now, fundamental speaking, but there's no urgency. We need more. We need this move needs some venom, some bite. We need some accelerated movement. The altcoin market is slowing down because I'm going to say this. I short politicians. My job is to make money and make a lot of money. Very in point. Simple in point. Okay? Make money, a lot of money, and then protect that money. You make money, I don't give it back. I don't give it back. Wealth earned is well to be protected. Link and everything else we talk about is being held down because of politicians' greedy little fingers. That's my opinion. ADA up 10.1%. XRP just had that great announcement as far as their acquisition, up 11%. Good to see. AVAX up 11.9. Algo up 12. SUI up 12.7. Ondo, Wall Street 2.0, got a big kick yesterday, up 15%. But this is beaten down, let's be honest. And Hedera up 16.3. And Hedera with that great move with again Link, good to see. Now in the last hour, this is sort of slowed, lagging. Are we seeing this pull back or easing because Nasdaq? Is it premature to call about to suggest decoupling? I tend to think we're at that stage right now. I want to see something with greater conviction. I'm very positive about the future of Bitcoin. I believe strongly in the altcoin market, but we're being slowed down. And we're being slowed down because of, again, this whole journey that we're taking of trying to decentralize finance. I'm sorry for that term, but it just seems so ridiculous. Last hour, of those four altcoins, the only one that's posting in the green are Algo and AVAX up very small, SUI and HBAR. Hedera is still making a nice little move, 2%, 1.6% in the last hour, but otherwise, Bitcoin giving back smallish ground, stuck at around 81, just under 81.6. Now, what can happen here? What we're watching is we're going to watch the decoupling, okay? So, or whether decoupling occurs. Now, today with it Thursday, we have equity markets. Obviously, we're on a countdown. We got 2 days left. The equity markets look like they're going to puke. There are no good stories, no good hustles that any politician can say today. Well, facts matter. Facts actually matter. Again, I know I'm abrupt. I know I'm not maybe the person that you're used to seeing talk like these kind of things, but my job is to make money, okay? Just simple that. Our job is to make money, okay? And that's one of the things we have to really give thought here. What we want to see right now on this is decoupling, but we're going to see we should see some interesting things here with Bitcoin and how in relationship it moves to NASDAQ today. Now, with this, I want to suggest something as well. Pardon me. With this, I want you to think as far as do you look at putting together your proxy Bitcoin position using IBIT? That is a much better position approach for 99% of the investors that I know, particularly those who are more comfortable with traditional finance, and with that, using IBIT because it allows ease of access. Trust me, I know it might be fun for you and the stacking stats, it certainly is interesting, but IBIT allows you to do much greater tactics and tactical planning. Now, IBIT closed up 7.5% yesterday, or approximately $3.24 to 46.83. It's retreating in pre-market approximately 1%. That all makes sense to 46.38. What we'll be looking at, and this is premature, is just how you go in. And remember, IBIT, if you just look at it, just basic numbers, it's approximately 1/17th, we'll call it 1/17th of a full Bitcoin. So why not use it like that? Use it like that, quantify it. And what I'd suggest for a person, if you have $4,600 to get involved in this, as opposed to buying Bitcoin per se, buy IBIT, but do so in a manner which we call a buy right. Use options. Remember, I wrote the book on options actually even before my career started 42 years ago. I wrote the book on it, and it's options are to mitigate risk, cull risk, and to scalp theta. Cull risk and increase your revenue stream, and do it the most simple, the most basic manner. There's a lot of things that we can do in option trading that's extremely complex. But sometimes some of the simplest solutions are the most profound. It's really that simple. Use what's called a buy right. You buy the name and then you sell the call, okay? The right to sell the stock at a certain price. Well, no one says that you have to do it with the market advancing. You could just constantly scalp out there's a differential. All markets converge to zero on expiration of options. It's something like that. All theta decays. That's why I say markets may go up, markets may go down, but each week option premium will decay. So if you're interested in Bitcoin, and only if you're interested in Bitcoin, do yourself a little test today. Just a fake trade, a practice account. You buy your IBIT, and let's say whatever time of the day, but if today it was at 46.46 as the opening, I would be looking at, I want to be able to buy it so that I can say, have some comfort zone. So say I'm going to buy a $46, pardon me while I make my notes here, 46, it's at 46.46. I want 46, but I want to protect it, and I want some downside coverage of roughly 3%. Well, the easiest thing for me to do is write a $45 call. And for that, obviously, because 46 less $45, I've got $1.46. I would like to make 0.75% or 1% a week on that. And obviously this is only 2 days, so I've got 146. So what I'd like to do, and I'm going to see if this is possible at the opening, we'll look at this tomorrow, is write that $45 call for, let's say, $1.46. That is, the explicit value of that option, right? That's the value of it, 46 less $45. Then I want to take 1%, approximately 46 cents, just round it up for the sake of ours, for $2. If I do that, I buy the stock for 46.46. Okay, so you're buying basically your Bitcoin proxy for 46.46. I'm writing a $45 call. So that's my liability per se to sell the stock at $45. I'm taking $2 in immediately. So my ACB is 44.46 immediately. And then as the equity, depending on what happens with Bitcoin, if it closes below $45, my ACB, my adjusted cost base is 46.46. And then depending on where it closes, I'm either buy to close on Friday before the market closes and sell the next week. And guess what? Collect more money. We'll talk tomorrow on where you should sell the next part of your roll, but the roll is profound. I want you to make money. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to have something that no one in this era seems to talk about: peace of mind portfolio insurance, and hopefully participate in something you're more comfortable with using Bitcoin. Remember, if we need to manage risk before risk manage you. That's why I said that. I said this. What will help a broad institutional adoption in 2014, and why I formed my crypto risk management desk. If we do that, every person can have a stake in Bitcoin and do so with comfort. It's the money game, and this is our Serengeti. Okay? I hope that helps. I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Again, I'll be back tomorrow. My name is John Davies. Thank you for joining me from Crypto Talk here from beautiful London, England. I'll be back tomorrow, 2025. A reminder, be the hunter, not the hunted. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.